Reason number 46 to get a Nissan. Features, especially the ones you get with the 2025 Nissan Kicks Play. Integrated Apple CarPlay, a spacious interior, advanced safety features, and more room in your budget. Because it's the most affordable new vehicle in Quebec. Get the 2025 Nissan Kicks Play S from only $22,774, including a $2,600 cash purchase bonus. Visit your Nissan dealer today. Until March 2nd, conditions apply. Details at Nissan.
Justine McIntyre sitting in for Elias Makos this morning. Difficult topic here. At least 9 instructors, 9 women, 9 people who were supposed to be protecting the youth that were under their care at the Cité des Prairies Youth Detention Center in the East End were allegedly involved in sexual misconduct with underage inmates. Now, it's important to know at Cité des Prairies, they mostly house offenders under the age of 18. These are young people who have committed major crimes, including murder, drug trafficking, firearms offenses, pimping. These are not regular youths. This is not a regular school. It's a youth detention center. At least one of these situations includes full sexual intercourse and an instructor giving birth to a child out of one of these relationships with an underage offender. In the aftermath, 2 managers have been suspended, and the people involved have either been suspended or fired. And this story just seems to be continuing to grow with the announcement of the Director of Youth Protection Services resigning yesterday. So here to speak with us about this is Brigitte Garceau. She's an attorney, and she's the M&A for Quebec Liberals in Robert-Baldwin, as well as being the official opposition critic on youth protection. Welcome to the show, Brigitte.
Thank you for having me, Justine.
All right. So first of all, I want to get your reaction to the news yesterday of Catherine LeMay stepping down.
Well, I had specifically, I believe I'm one of the first ones that came out to ask for her resignation. This resignation should have been given a long time ago. Because when she came into her position in 2021, we quickly saw that she was not, let's just say, doing the job. I was getting a lot of phone calls, emails, particularly from lawyers who are in the field, who plead youth protection cases, that were telling me nothing's changed. It's still, the code of silence, a system that is protecting itself to the detriment of children's rights. Eventually, and even like the implementation of the Laurent Commission the report, those weren't being done. There was just a lot of delays. And also, you get to a point where there's crises everywhere. And when you have the bâtonnière of the Quebec Bar that is basically sending a letter to 3 ministers in July of 2023 saying, we are at a point now where it's a crisis situation in terms of youth protection cases. There are too many delays. Parents are not, let's just say the services are not being rendered to parents so that they can take back their children. And so there were just a host of issues to get to a point where you have scandal after scandal. And this is going back, let's just say a year from the isolation rooms, like 9-year-old children that are being placed in these isolation rooms. This was in Laval. We had also just a series of scandals in terms of sexual aggression, in sexual abuse cases where files are being closed. These girls in particular, and young girls that are not being followed by psychologists because you have these counselors that are saying, no, there's not going to be any impact. To what I was calling out a year and a half ago was to put the center, the Youth Protection Service Center at the Mauricie Centre du Québec region, where it was just like horrendous issues that were coming from there in terms of falsifying counselors that are knowingly, their supervisors knew, that are falsifying documents and that are lying to the court. And that are also taking children, and we're talking babies after birth, and they're removing them to have them adopted. And so there was just a series of significant incidents where children's rights are being violated, and so are parents' rights.
We're speaking with Brigitte Garceau. She's the M&A for Quebec Liberals in Robert-Baldwin and the official opposition critic on youth protection. I understand that there's a number of complaints, a number of red flags that have been raised, and I want to sort of keep it on this issue of the abuse that was happening at Cité des Prairies. And I want to ask you, because it sounds like you were hearing about some of these things going on. How did this climate come about, this climate of silence and protecting people who are in a situation of authority and who are sexually abusing the children, the very children that they're supposed to be protecting? How did that climate come about?
Listen, that's why there was, back in 2019, it took the death of a young girl in Granby to initiate, for the National Assembly to initiate the Laurent Commission report, where there was a host of recommendations. And of course, this culture, it's a culture that the minister has been clearly aware of for many, many years, particularly since he's been minister. There's been no change. And in fact, it's just getting worse. And so how it got there, I can't answer that. All I know is that it's been there for many, many years, and there have been no changes and no concrete measures to make the changes that are required in terms of that culture.
Do you think that a new director of youth protection services might be able to change the culture, or is the problem really systemic at this point? What would need to be done?
I think it's systemic at this point. And that's why I asked for an investigation of all of the youth centers in the province and the rehabilitation centers. Okay. Because one, I think this is the tip of the iceberg in terms of what occurred at Cité des Prairies. Mm-hmm. There's, what also occurred in Mauricie, where, children that should never been adopted were adopted. And so there are irreparable damages that are caused there. And so it's going to take more, I'm going to tell you, Justine, than just, changing the national director. It's going to take Minister Karma is going to have to stop saying that after every incident that comes out in the media, because that's what's happening, he doesn't act before the stories come out. He acts after. Okay. And it's as if he doesn't know what's going on. And that, to me, is egregious. Mm-hmm. I just can't believe and I can't understand how a minister of youth protection is not being made aware of these serious allegations and incidents. Some of the time, he actually finds out at the same moment that I do, and that most Quebecers and news media do, when we see we see the articles in the morning. Yeah. So that's unacceptable, and so he has some serious work to do in terms of investigating all of these youth protection centers, because I think a lot of these directors are going to have to go.
All right. Well, we've been speaking with...
it's the top down.
I'm going to have to leave it there. Brigitte Garceau, thanks for speaking with us today.
My pleasure.
Brigitte Garceau is an M&A for Quebec Liberals in Robert-Baldwin and the official opposition critic on youth protection.